Hello out there, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, Paul's World of Entertainment. This video, it's gonna be a bit different. I did a post in my Facebook group and to get an opinion on it, and I had numerous people that suggested that I go for it. But this video is going to be basically talking about paranormal activity, and basically I want to be talking about my own place here where I live, and all the activity, basically electrical activity that I've had in the time that I've lived here. This basically I could start it out with not long after I moved in. My stereo had a knack, it basically it would go on its own later in the evening. Almost like it was on a timer, but I don't know. It didn't seem to. It didn't have a timer, but it would go on every evening, and I would come home from work. At the time, I worked. My schedule was basically 12 to 9, so I'd come home at 9 o'clock. I'd be after 9, so it'd be closer to 9:30, 10 o'clock, and there's my stereo blasting, and I mean it was on. And it was loud as well, and so and this went on for quite some time. What I did was I turned the volume on the stereo down to 0, and that basically stopped. At least it wasn't blasting, but I would come home and it still would be going. Even though you couldn't hear it, it was still starting on its own. I don't know. Didn't really have an explanation for it, but all I did was turn the volume to 0. Eventually, that stopped. I don't know exactly when it stopped, but eventually it did. Also in my place, my place goes through light bulbs very quickly. Even the energy saver light bulbs that are supposed to last for a very long time, they're energy saver. They're supposed to have a long lasting. They're supposed to last a long time, and they don't in my place. More recently, I had a I could still stay back in time. Also, when within the first couple years that I lived here, I had a power surge, and it was strange because the power surge it actually knocked out my TV, and it knocked out. I had an Xbox. It knocked out the Xbox. But it did not knock out, at the time, a VCR, and it did not knock out my stereo. So stereo and game system, or not the game, or the stereo and the VCR were working. The game system and the TV were basically knocked out. They were done, and so and they were all plugged in really the same place. So I didn't have an explanation for that either. Then more recently, I've had not a number of months ago, I had a situation where I had a partial power outage, which was very strange, where I would have power in my living room. Then if I went into my dining room, I would have one side of the dining room with power, the other side without power. When I would go into the kitchen, most of the kitchen would be out of power. Then my hall and my bedrooms would have no power. So I'd have power in some areas and no power in others. And this would just happen sporadically. And the power would be out for a while, sometimes a short period of time. Other times it would be out for couple hours, and then it would come back on. However, if one point it stopped, and it hasn't happened now in several months. So if it were an actual problem if it were a problem as far as wiring goes, I'd still be having the issue. And if anything, I mean, the issue doesn't fix itself. So how it just stopped, just like my stereo. It was going on by itself, and it eventually it stopped, and just like in the same situation, I I would in a just randomly I would have a partial power outage, and that went on for a while. And actually, when I was about to call for an electrician, I was waiting, and it stopped. And it's now been several months since that occurred. Um, so that that's quite it's been quite it's quite something. Also, internet. Now, this is another thing. I've when I first moved here, I got cable internet, and it was extremely fast initially, but then it slowed down. It became very slow, and eventually, um, finally, basically when the pandemic came set in, I just got rid of the internet altogether. Besides being very slow, I needed to save money, and as slow as it was, I mean I just basically would use my phone. And I found out that doing that, using my phone, if I end up using up a lot of gigabytes on my phone, that my phone would no longer be a priority as far as actually getting on, as far as the internet goes. So anybody else in the area would have priority on the internet over me, which would make things once again slow. However, it's gone beyond that, where I've actually had trouble making phone calls and even getting on the internet, where my phone just out of the blue would no longer I couldn't I would just pick up my phone to try to get on the internet and not be able to. Then I'd try to make a phone call, and I couldn't make a phone call. um, Now this also, if the thing with that is, if I wouldn't have checked, if I wouldn't have tried, I wouldn't have known, and so nobody would have been able to reach me. I wouldn't have known that I couldn't make a phone call if I wouldn't have tried. So and I've taken my phone now to Metro. I have my phone service through Metro by T-Mobile, and they rebooted my network, and they did what they called a soft reboot when I was just there, and they said to bring it back if it continues to happen, and they would do a hard reboot. Now, put all this together, and the thing is, if there's something with the wiring, first of all, the problems that I was having should have continued if there was a problem with the wiring, and second, my phone, I'm having problems with my phone, and that's not connected. It's not in the wiring, other than when it's on a charger. But yeah, so this has been it's been absolutely incredible. And when way back when I was having the issue with my um, stereo, when it kept on going on by itself, I know I ended up having to talk with a couple of friends, and this was a big debate over whether or not it was paranormal activity. I think even back then, or something that, and I kind of dismissed it, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. I just thought it was just a glitch. But lo and behold, over the time that I have been here, I've had a lot of glitches. I've had a lot of anomalies with this place, and I don't know if this is paranormal activity or not, but a lot of this it hasn't made sense, especially because the issues will start and then they'll stop. And if there's an issue with wiring, if there's an issue with a technical issue, these issues aren't just going to go away. Yet several have, and I don't. So I can't explain how they came about, and I can't explain how they went away. But this has been it's been something basically. So I don't know if this is paranormal or not. But at the same time, with as much as there's been, and the fact is, not all of it is actually even connected to my wiring, anyways. And the way there's just too much. So I'm putting this out to YouTube. I wanted to get input. So please, put down in the comments any input you have, whether you think it is paranormal, if you think it's not paranormal, and if you do think it's paranormal, why, and if you don't think it's paranormal, what do you think it is? Because I would love to know, because um if I actually got an electrician, besides being expensive, there's a lot of places where an electrician could end up looking. And there's been a lot of different issues that I've had, and that's it's a there's just a lot there. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this video. And again, also please hit the like button, and also please consider subscribing to my channel for future updates. And I may be doing I may have some more. I will have some more coming. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. That definitely, doing both of those helps me quite a bit. And so everybody have a wonderful day.